I picked up this Motive power bleeder, and instead of like pumping the brakes and then releasing the nipple and bleeding the brake system that way,
This is for you.
this attaches to the top of the brake reservoir, and I have like 32 fluid ounces of brake fluid in here, and then you push this to pressurize it. It'll tell you how much PSI is in there. I think I'm supposed to pump it to 5 PSI. There's this other method where you have the hose at the nipple. I used to have this Eibach where it would create suction. You would have this hose into this device that would suck the fluid, and then you would just use the wrench to break open and suck the fluid out that way. But this is kind of like a reverse. Instead of sucking it, you're pushing fluid in. So I'm gonna give this a try and see how well it works. I read on the forums that the correct procedure is actually the typical procedure is to go from the furthest from the master cylinder to the closest, but for the Subaru, for some reason, we're gonna do this method where you start with the passenger front, the driver's rear, driver's front, and then the passenger rear. This is the Eibach that I was talking about. I'm actually just going to use this container and one of the hoses to connect to the nipple right there. This hose that came with the kit was actually loose on the nipple, so I used this other hose that I had. This is for, you know, like fish tanks. So what I did was I routed that all the way into this bottle, and I'm just gonna pump that with pressure, and then I'm gonna release this nipple and let all the air and bubbles come out until I just see solid fluid. I watched another video, and the reason why I have this brake line routed that way is because when I had it open, I want the fluid in there. That way when I'm pushing the brake lever, it forces fluid up, but also when I release the brake pedal, it's going to pull some back, so I want that fluid in there. If you have this routing downwards, it's going to push the fluid and it's going to have this air bubble, so when you let go of the brake pedal, it's going to suck air back in. So that's the reason why I have it routed like that. This is a 10mm wrench. See that bubbles coming up. Right before I closed the nipple, I actually pumped the brake twice really slowly. I just pushed the brake pedal in, let it come out, pushed it back in, let it come out, and then I tightened it. In the back, it's actually smaller. This is a 8mm. I gotta keep checking on this to make sure it's around 5 PSI. I'll pump that later. But I'm like halfway through and I've only used this much fluid. Just leave this open. It's a little messy, but it's already firm. I'm gonna push this in 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Feels pretty firm already. This is the last one on the passenger rear. The fluid is actually clear because I bled the brakes probably 2 years ago when I got the car. I'm gonna pump the pedal again. This is the last one, and this is probably the stiffest my pedal has ever felt. Maybe because last time I didn't bleed it in the correct pattern that was recommended by Subaru. Let me do this one more time. Then I'm gonna close the nipple. Yeah, that is really stiff. Yep, that's clear. This is the first time I've used this product, and I would highly recommend it. I paid around 60 bucks, 55 to 60 bucks on Amazon for it. If you could find it cheaper, that's great. I've been using the handheld Mighty Vac one in the past, and it's just a pain in the butt. But if you're able to use this, it's like a whole lot quicker. You just pump it and then open the nipple and close it. And I literally finished this in 15-20 minutes. Usually it would take me 30 minutes to an hour with the other one, and then my forearms would be really sore. I was able to do this by myself. I didn't need anyone else. I'm not paid to endorse this product, but if you want, I'd suggest that you give it a try and see how you like it. I've read comments about this leaking. Maybe they didn't get the right attachment, but it seems to be holding fine for me. I do see some liquid right there. I probably didn't tighten that fully, and that's probably my fault. But other than that, it seems to be pretty quick and good. I should probably read the instructions on how to disconnect this, but I ended up just twisting this to relieve the pressure. And then I'm gonna assume there's gonna be a bunch of fluid here. I might need to use something to spoon that out so it's between min and max. But I'm gonna disconnect that so that way I can get this fluid back in the bottle and then figure out what to do right there. It's actually not overflowing, so I think I'm good. Yeah, it's also at the max, so I think I'm good there too.